Why do I feel like this is not gonna work for long? Okay. So, yeah, another thing I was thinking about. This is just a this just never stops, this thing in my head going on. It's one thing leads to another, and there's just this overwhelming flood of thoughts and ideas and open tabs, and everybody who ever, well, also you, because you're here, and if you have watched at least one of my videos, you know that I rarely make sense, and I rarely talk in a linear way, and there's always like 5,000 other themes, and I branch out, and people usually say they really like it at the beginning, and then when it actually comes to discussing things like you know, especially serious emotional labor, then yeah, people freak out and it's suddenly too much, and I'm still like just having a normal conversation. I'm on like, you know, level 5, and people are already over the scale. Anyway, well, I have to live with that, you know. Other people can just walk away. I have to stay. I have no choice. So you're gonna become the victim of my self-expression. I don't care. So the other day I got scared by a deer. Anyway, that I didn't know it was a deer. If I knew it was a deer, I would probably not get scared. I thought it was a chupacabra or something like that. So I found it very interesting. Yet another thing I found very interesting. I'm losing my voice because I've been talking for some other videos and some other videos. Well, the previous ones, you know, the ones where you talk, those videos. So, anyway, what I find very interesting is that, I don't know if you know this, but when I was a kid, why would you know this? When I was a kid, I was quite afraid of the dark, and I'm not sure where it came from, or is it just, you know, it doesn't have to come from anywhere. It's a very primal fear, isn't it? I remember when we were with my family, there was this family house in the mountains, and I'm not sure exactly. There was some kind of interesting story behind that I've learned recently. But anyway, the house was sold quite early, so, you know, I only remember, you know, like little flashes of the past. But it's, you know, I wrote about it, and it made quite an impression on me, especially, you know, being so little, and everything makes an impression on you then. I wonder if it would be disappointing now. I know that at some point my family kind of turned it, my grandfather turned it a little bit more into, from this wooden house with a spirit, with a soul, it become a bit more of a metal, glass and metal monstrosity. But anyway, there were quite a few interesting things there, and one of them was just our room. I mean mine and my brother's. We shared a small room, and I remember there was a Virgin Mary on the wall, and for some reason I always thought that she was moving at night. It was quite interesting. And there was also a basement where I think it was my brother who convinced me that the devil lives there. So I just believed him. I mean, why wouldn't there be a devil in a basement? Like, that's where they live. Sorry, I heard the sound. I heard a voice. Recently I've been hearing voices, but they've been rather like in my head, but maybe it's just neighbors. I just want to make sure if I'm alone or not. All ways. Is there anyone in this house? 3 knocks, please. Anyway. So yeah, Devil lived in the basement. And I must have been, like, I don't know, 3 years old, maybe something like that. So, I have a very, very vague memory of that house. Anyway, when I was older, I'm not sure if there's something there that I would like to still talk about, but maybe next time. You can clearly see it. It's kind of, I opened some box there that needs attention, but maybe not right now. I mean, there's always something about big houses in the mountains or in nature, in the countryside, where, especially ones with a story. But I don't know, maybe they just built it. Maybe it wasn't even old. But for me, it had a meaning, Anyway, when I was older, I would, at the beginning I remember I would have, when I had my own room, I would leave the door open for the night. I couldn't sleep in the room with a closed door. And I'm not sure why. What was the purpose of that? Maybe because, if you close the door, you're on your own officially. If you leave the door open, then you can always escape or call someone crying for help. But then I kind of realized that I don't like this darkness staring at me from from behind the open door when the light is off outside of the room. So this is, I think, when I started closing it. Or maybe I just gathered the courage and I decided I want to be a big girl now and close the door and sleep in the dark. But I was covering mirrors. And that was another thing, and I don't know where I got it from. I was always scared and at the same time attracted to mirrors. I found there was some kind of power in mirrors, and it's just one of these things where, as a kid, you wonder, where did it come from? Did someone tell me? And of course, if you have certain beliefs, then you have answers for that. Sometimes many answers, many possible answers. So I was afraid of the dark, but I was also attracted to my fears. I was always, whatever I was scared of, I always would tell myself that I wanted to try all the things that scare me, all the, that if there is a fear, it's there for a reason, and I want to explore that reason, and I want to overcome that fear and become a bigger person by that. So I remember, my mother, for example, she was always afraid of heights and things like that, and so was I. But the difference between us was that she would be perfectly happy just not going there, wherever, the problem was. And I was like, oh my God, I'm, shitting myself. I need to know, I need to go there. And perhaps also, maybe that affected me also when I was a kid. We were in, again, it's like just when I was a kid. It should be a whole series, when Alex was a kid. There will be, totally. So we went to like a funfair thing. What is it called? Funfair, with like scary castles, haunted castle stuff, and Devil's Wheel, whatnot. And we were in Italy, perhaps the first time we went on holidays to Italy. So again, I was maybe 5, 6, something like that. And I followed my brother, as I always did. I followed my brother everywhere. Whatever he wanted to do, I had to do too. So and that lasted until much longer, much later. And so he went to this scary haunted castle thing, but it was kind of weird. It was like a candy floss kind of themed thing. It wasn't supposed to be scary with demons and devils and vampires. It was just like clown kind of themed, or just weird. And yeah, I can't remember what was there, but something scared me, and I decided not to go. And there was some kind of dark room, and I just said, "Fuck that! I'm off. I'm off." And my brother was. He told me he was ashamed of me. he was ashamed that I got scared, and I was fucking 5 or 6. It doesn't. You can still be afraid of things at that age. God damn it! I still would be afraid. I was scared by a deer. But it's he was laughing at me for years after that, and I just couldn't shake it off. So I think that also might have motivated me to to start challenging and facing my fears, because I didn't want my brother to be ashamed of me. So god damn it, is it time for some deep therapy here? I think maybe that's the reason for all my misery. Everything is just boils down to that fucking Italy holidays. Thanks, bro. It's getting cold. And yeah, fear of the dark. So I'm not sure what was what was the evolution of that fear later on. I think maybe I didn't have many reasons to think about it until an adult, until I started living alone, or just having a life, and living quite a nocturnal life as well. So I was more and more a creature of the night, and attracted to all sorts of dark things that didn't seem dark to me. I just had more and more defined interest into all sorts of obscure things. And oh yeah, I remember one more, perhaps. Oh yeah, that was also interesting. I'm probably gonna mention that like 3 million times to come, but there were 2 quite interesting interests of mine when I was in kindergarten. I had the idea of that I was a queen of the underworld for some reason, and I would draw these labyrinths of the underworld, and I would tell my friends that that I'm a queen of this underworld, and there are my guards, and they won't let you in, if I don't want to. And then later I realized that these guards had heads of Anubis. So okay, sure. I was quite interested in Egyptian mythology, but that came a little bit later, I think, just a tiny bit later, because that I'm talking, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, something like that. But again, like this interest came early too. So I don't know, I've always liked this sort of, recurring theme. And the other thing that that I had dreams about it for years, and I've been very fascinated by the idea of going to the center of the earth of digging your way. If nothing else, you just take a shovel and you just start digging, and eventually you get to the core of the earth. Not mentioning that I always loved caves and volcanoes and things like that, that also, have a certain vibe about them. It's not really difficult to figure it out, knowing what kind of person I am, but it's, and again, the thing that I love doing, that I kind of take as a quest in life to pick up on these things, from your life, and to kind of pull them like little threads, or spread them on a map and make them like little points on the map that if you zoom out, they start making sense. And perhaps, I'm a bit too attached to my story because I like it. Maybe that's also part of the challenge, to gather all this and then drop it. That is a challenge. So yeah, darkness, underworld, underground, all these things, and then I think it was reawakened again when I visited the Catacombs in Paris, when I was invited to Catacombs and to explore the underworld there. So I think that even more solidified this kind of drive, and I think it also almost directly caused the beginning of the whole dark curiosity thing, because I just felt pulled into this more obscure hidden paths, and that of course inevitably led to my another magical revival, my occult revival in my own heart. That's a different story. It's not a different story, it's a different branch of a story. Maybe some other time. I start losing my voice.